Okay, so I guess if I can hear some of you and you can hear me, so the other will also hear me. Well, whenever there is some unforeseen problem with this nice new tool, circuit, yeah, then please let me know in some, drop me a mail, or when you drop out of the communicator, I will share my desktop. And in addition, I'm not sure if you have downloaded the slides from our server, the PowerPoint. You can of course also open on your second monitor or something like that. We will have the PowerPoint from our portal, and we will also have, of course, live presentation of some features. Okay, and I would also like that when you have additional questions, then feel free to ask me in between. Maybe I should explain something differently or things like that. Yeah, no problem at all. Just interrupt me. And yeah, we can also have an question and answer session at the end if you want some additional questions what I've not covered during the training. But the idea is that when something is not clear or what, you should ask me in the moment when the question arises. Okay? So I hope my desktop share worked well, and you can see the slides. New features in WinCC Open Architecture 350. Is this correct? Just some of you could maybe answer with a single yes. Yes, okay. Yeah, good. I continue. Somebody really needs to tell me if things are going wrong on the other side, okay? Come again, please. It works, you mean? Okay, well, so we are going to start, and for the beginning, I want to introduce what are our fields of development. As you maybe know, we have three development groups. One is facing all the issues with the user interface, so that's the red team. Yeah? We have certain new features here, and we will go through that as a brief overview in the beginning, and then of course I will do the live demonstration with the 350 version. Then on the other end, we have the drivers connecting to the periphery. We have some new cool things here, the Ezvid bus driver and so on. That is also very clear what this team is doing. They are focusing on connectivity to the field equipment. Okay, and all the rest, what is neither user interface related, nor it is driver related, that is the blue team. So all the things the other don't do, the blue team is doing, the business logic team. So here we will find things like smart SCADA and other nice developments. So what are the features? In short, at the user interface enhancements, we have now a desktop user interface. What is that? Does this mean our system was not running on desktop PCs in the past? No, of course not. It is just a new distribution mechanism for the user interface. The remote client was being installable in different versions. Yeah, you could do a remote client project on your own. You do an installation there. You create the project there. You copy the necessary files there. Okay. Or you have used the web client. The web client in a way either as a plugin, or you have also been able to do just a link on the desktop after a successful installation of the basic things, and use the -server keyword. And how now the desktop, the client is installed on the other machine, that is now done with a download mechanism similar to the plugin, but the plugin, of course, is not to be used anymore in the new browsers, because Firefox, Chrome, and so on discontinued the support for plugins. Internet Explorer still supports it, but question is just how long. Okay, so that will be the new method of creating a client user interface installation in a completely automated way. Layout enhancements. Okay, here we introduced the grid. Previously, it was only a horizontal and vertical layout data available, but now there is a grid. There are further enhancements, like for instance, we did the inheritance of layouts, so that you can use graphical references which themselves have a layout, and that you use in a layouted panel. So layout in layout in layout. This will of course enable you to do the nice panels you want to do. And I think what is not here on the slide, add symbol into layout groups. This is also very important, because with that mechanism you do or you need this mechanism, of course, and you have dynamic panels which are compiled during runtime, where you add the symbols on the fly if there are more or less objects. And of course you want to use this together with your layout. Then you need to give not the screen position in pixels, but you want to give a position in the layout container. That is also very useful. I will demonstrate all that, of course, live. Modern engineering design. What is this? We feature layout management, yes, but that does not mean out of the box that the system can do responsive design. Responsive design is a combination of layout management plus some scripting. And we demonstrate this with our system management. We have removed the old system management panel and presenting a new one. There, for instance, the icons arrange themselves automatically whenever you scale the panel wider, smaller, and the icons will be rearranged. But how is this working? Yeah, the intention is to show you the code of that, how that works. And to give you an example how you can use those mechanisms to make some panels with this behavior. It is just some code on the resize event of the panel. So the oriented screen references, or also called OOPS, object-oriented panels. What is this? This is a new way how the graphical references are constructed in the game. And that the graphical reference is available as an object in main memory of the user interface. That comes with some significant advantages during runtime and also during construction time, because you can construct widget-like references that have additional properties and additional events. What you can do with just some control scripts and nothing else. That is the nice thing in here. I will demonstrate in detail, of course, how this is used to create your object-oriented panels. But you also can see here are two little asterisks. And there is a footnote, and the footnote says, that is currently released as beta version, and we plan to remove the beta sticker in the next, what will be available in May somewhere, or end of May, I'm not exactly sure, if the patch is due before or after the user days. I think afterwards. Okay, and that beta only means that we did not have enough time to do all tests, especially performance tests. Functional tests have been positively done, so the feature works. That is not the problem. We are not 100% sure about if we have managed all performance implications, or if there is something what we need to bring to your attention. But I will introduce you to that things anyway, so you can use it from now on to construct your panels. That's not the problem. Yeah? And the last thing here, the JavaScript enhancement for our WebView widget. This is a cool thing, but it also has an asterisk, you see, and that means, we will release with one of the next patch, so either with the next or with the patch after that, and the JavaScript enhancement is done because of the following reason. Or what can you do with it? In the WebView widget, that's the normal WebView widget, what is available right now, it will just be enhanced with the capability that you can use, or we provide a JavaScript class, what you can use on the HTML panel, what you show in the WebView widget, and on this HTML panel you now can do JavaScript graphics, for instance, or JavaScript code in whatever way. And in this JavaScript code, you can use the process image of VTC08. So all data points, everything. You can do DB connect, you can do DB get, DB set, DB get period. So you can interact with your process data directly from JavaScript code on a web page, what is viewed in the WebView widget. And the use case is nice graphic, dashboarding, and other things aside from the trend. The trend is nice, yes, but if you want to have other fancy graphics, you can easily find JavaScript graphics in the network somewhere. What you can implement, and the example what we have already in the product, we use in SmartScala additional graphical components like a heat map or radar charts and things like that. And those are JavaScript graphics, what is using exactly this method. It is not yet available for you. The implementation in the SmartScala is a first version prototype, what you can't use at the moment, but it will be available soon, with the next patch. Okay, so that are the user interface things. I'm just checking about the people. Okay, it's getting and now let's see what is in the business logic team. Of course, here the most important and biggest feature, that is SmartScala. I will introduce what we can do with SmartScala only now as a teaser. There, of course, must be a certain use case, what you follow if you use SmartScala to your benefit. And the typical use cases, which we have in our view at the moment, you do some optimization, so you would have a KPI, or in future releases a OEE parameter defined, and you are analyzing what are the impacts, which factors influence your KPI, and because of that you can then try to find optimizations in your system that your KPI is getting better. The KPI framework, what we ship, is a formula editor, and of course then monitoring the KPIs. And in combination with some analysis, what you can do, you can then also try, of course, to make the system running a little bit better. Other thing would be root cause analysis, that the system is helping the operator with the decision what to do when there is something wrong. How is this done? That is done in the same way. You define a KPI with everything at the beginning, and then you look for in your big data what you have gathered during the days or months or years of your plant was already running. With this data, you you try to find correlations between the values, and then of course you are training a model for the system where you classify different operation states. Where you say, okay, that's a good state, this was bad, that was also bad, and so on. And the system is doing a clustering for you, yeah, that it finds different system states, similar system states, and you just need to specify, okay, classify what is what. Yeah, that was a failure because of the mechanical condition, this was another thing, and so on. And by doing that, you are training a random forest model for the system, and with that, we can then predict at any later point of time, when we use the actual value of the system, what is the system state? Is it in good shape? Or, for instance, you can use it also when there is an alarm created. Then you call this function and say, okay, that is my actual values, yeah, read with the get when the alarm occurs, and then you are predicting the state. The system will tell you, I think this is wrong. Of course, it's about the quality of the model, if this is really true, but yeah, I will demonstrate this later. So, KPI wizard, data mining, and to look for correlations in your data and nice things, exceptions in your data. That is one of the goals from the data mining wizard, and the classification is important to train your model, that you can random forest model, that you then can do the root cause analysis. How is this working? We have done an interface to R, a mathematical programming language, more or less, like MATLAB or S and T, but it's R what we have implemented. And yeah, that's it. It can do much more, but we use it for the random forest model and for the classification and for some things. Next thing, C# API. That is an extension, more or less, to our API. We have the C++ API, of course. Yeah, you know that. We can do managers, we can do drivers. Yeah? The common driver framework is just an extension to the manager framework, and the smallest thing what you can do is DLLs for control extensions for the control programming language. That's the three things you can do with our C++ API. But what we created now is a C# wrapper, a facade, C# facade. Why is this helpful, or what was the aim or goal of that? Ease of use. That was the aim. We want to present a more simple way of creating an API manager, that the entry level is not that high. And of course, people are telling me you can find much more C# programmers nowadays than good C++ programmers. So, okay, we did the C# interface, but only for the manager API at the moment. For the common driver framework, it is not yet available. The full facade is not available. We have used the Swig wrapper to do the C# wrapping of our C++ functions, but to just wrap it, that's not enough. There are now more nice functions to create the manager and so on, so that is much better. So maybe we will do the common driver framework in the future, but actually it is the manager framework what has the full facade and is really easy to use, and with 3 lines of code you have a manager running. I will maybe show later an example. Okay, but that's really something for programmers, and from now on we are introducing that in our certificate. With normal C++, some hours to see, because it's so simple you don't need more. Okay, object-oriented scripting. This is control. We have enhanced our control scripting language, what you use every day on the panels, control manager scripts and so on. We have enhanced it a little bit with classes, structs, enums, and so on. Of course, there is derive classes from other classes. You can override some methods. So polymorphism is also there, and all this kind of stuff. What you know from classes, constructors. Okay, but of course it comes with some restrictions. It is not exactly the same functionality like C++. No, it's not. It's still control. What we are talking about. What is an interpreter language? Yeah. This we must keep in focus. Yeah. And the enhancement here was also necessary for our object-oriented panels. Yeah? That is more or less the back-end functionality, classes and other stuff, and that's the object-oriented panels, the user interface, are treated like they are, yeah? As one object, and so on. I will shed some more words there, okay? Theoretically, the control plus was also included in 3.14. We didn't officially announce it, but it was included already because it is the backend function of the object-oriented panels. Okay, VMware cluster support. Okay, that is a topic what anyway I only want to do with slides. Yeah, I can't show you here something. So I will immediately introduce this slide. What we have tested positively with the VMware vSphere cluster, high availability cluster, this is working in a very simple way. You have some spare server hardware inside your vSphere cluster, and VMware is doing the following. It is constantly taking snapshots of the servers, and if a server hardware fails completely, it is restoring the last recent snapshot very quickly on a spare hardware what is somewhere in the vSphere cluster. This works very well together with our redundancy, with our hot standby redundancy. Why so? Because in our hot standby redundancy, it doesn't matter if the second server, which failed completely, comes up 2 minutes later with a little bit older version. It will be synchronized anyway when it connects to the previous server. And that is really working great to reduce the downtime during what you are not running in redundant mode when you have a hardware failure, a complete server failure. Not just one hard disk or whatever, the complete server is dead, that's it. And you have to bring up the spare server. When you do this manually, some IT guy needs to copy the project there, last backup whatsoever, then put it to the network, fire up the server and so on. Okay, so this may take some time. But the vSphere cluster is doing that almost instantaneously, some minutes maybe, until the snapshot is restored, and this can really work again. So I think this is very nicely going together with our redundancy. Okay, so stating that, was there another point on the blue topics? Further enhancements is just that, and this is also, I think, what I only mentioned now, because there is nothing more to it. We included the disaster recovery, the 2+2 redundancy, into our SIL scope. So whenever you want to do a SIL2 or whatever SIL level project, in our rules and conditions, we have excluded some functionality from the system. Why is that? Because of maybe the complexity of the function, or it is also the case that new functions, new features, new add-ons will also be typically excluded from safety. Because they need to be proven in service before they can have a TÜV certification or whatsoever. And the DRS was excluded so far. The redundancy is, of course, in the scope. The distributed system as well. But the DRS, what is the combination of the two, plus additional control scripts and whatsoever, we excluded because of the complexity. That is now okay. We did further testings, other things, and we have proven that this works to the TÜV, and so it can also be used now for safety projects. And maybe I can also mention that there is plugin mechanism now available for an external authentication. When you log into the system, you know, you authenticate against the user information what is stored inside the system, some data points. Of course, yeah, when you synchronize with Active Directory, then you get this information from Active Directory. It is synced from there, but you are still authenticating against your own system. When you want to use external authentication, we have the Kerberos implementation. Yes, okay, but we only have Kerberos when you want to have this external authentication thing. Now, together with the security plugin, there is a way to connect or whatever authentication, external authentication. That is a little bit too much here in this meeting to explain how this is done, but it is available. Why so? Because some other people, I think the Siemens Wind Power, will use that to connect whatever authentication. It is not LDAP, but it's a similar thing to Active Directory, but it's not exactly Active Directory. It is their own stuff. But just that you know, this would now be available. Drivers. Of course, here the most important thing is the new Simatic S7 Plus driver. Why is the S7 Plus better than the old one? No, I'm not saying that it's better. It is just the new one. It is the new way of communicating to the new devices from Siemens, the S7 1200, 1500, and all devices which are released from now on, which are all using the OMS plus communication method. And this OMS plus, the plus is also used here in the name, that framework, the communication framework stack from original stack from Siemens was used now for the base of this driver. You know that our old Simatic driver was using a different third-party components from AG-Link, and this was working fine with 300, 400, and 200 PLCs. Even with the 12 and 1500, last year we introduced that we also can use the symbolic addressing for the 1200 and 1500 with the old driver, but that was just a workaround, let's say workaround, because it was not the official Siemens stack, and the method was not that fast and not that good, and also it was an unofficial supported interface to these PLCs. So please do not use the old driver anymore. You can't use it for the 1500 and 1200 symbolic addressing anymore because we removed that functionality anyway. The old driver is dedicated for 300, 400, and 200 and something like that. The new driver is to be used for symbolic addressing, engineering for 1200 and 1500 series PLCs. There is now this really hard split. Old driver for old PLCs, new driver for new PLCs. That is the plan. Okay? And in the new driver you can use subscriptions and all this kind of stuff. So that and it will be encrypted and if you want, and so it has some cool features. And of course I can show you some of the configuration here. So together we also ship something what you need, that the new driver is working, the tier portal export tool. What is this? When you do the engineering in tier portal, then every symbolic address not only has a symbolic name, but also an ID. This is the same like in our system, data point IDs and names. Our driver must somehow get hold of the internal IDs. The problem is, at the moment, the PLC can only, the communication PLC can only work with IDs, and we cannot get the IDs from, despite they are stored in the PLC. But just with the names, we can do nothing. And the names would be the thing what you know from your projects. So what this actually needed is, we need a little export file from your tier portal project where all those names and IDs, this table, and also the configuration, hardware configuration of your project is stored. And that you place in the data folder of your project, and the driver is then using this file to create the mapping and to do the communication to the PLCs in a good way. Okay, this is a temporary solution that we need this file. Then the PLCs are able to give us this information, but the software interface to the PLCs is not that far. Not on our side, but on the Siemens side. So the PLC is not able to provide this information right now. Later on, 1 year, 2 years, I have no idea. We don't need this export tool any longer for the tier portal. But actually, now we ship one with the system, you have to install it to your tier portal and everything is fine. Okay, what else was done on the driver sector? Modbus server, okay? Sometimes you want to give data to other people, and there is now the OPC, old one, the EA server. It is the OPC UA server available. It is now the Modbus server, and on OPC side we also not only serve data and alarms, but we also serve historical data, but just for the old one, the OPC EA, HDA. So that's now our protocol servers. And for all these protocol servers, there is also now a concept for multi-tenancy. What is this? When you have different clients, you might want to serve different data and amounts of different data points whatsoever, for this client and for another client. And that is working when we use plant model views for a definition what a certain server outside world. Then of course you can also define multiple plant and not only one Modbus server or OPC server, but you start 2 or 3, and every of those servers can use individual plant model views, and that's it. One client then gets some data points, another client is getting some completely different data points. Here we go. That's multi-tenancy. Okay, and the TLS, I think the TLS driver you need, actually, this is the road sign thing. This telematic driver for this road from Asfinag, the highway, whatever standards for these prismatic signs on the highways and in tunnels and so on. And there is now a new version of it, which is not actually any longer with the need of periphery addresses, but it is now a so-called gateway. It has some more functionality and it's configured different. It's not addresses anymore, it is now a fixed naming convention, like IEC 61850 or something, or BACnet. So the driver works now a little bit different, but I will not demonstrate because it's very specific just for the road signs. Well, yeah, that's it. Okay, logo 8 is the very smallest. Siemens PLC is also supported by the new driver. Perfect. Okay, nice. That was the brief overview. Of course, then we will also support the operating systems and so on, but that we can also have it at the end. Are there any questions from your side before we go into the live demonstration about the user interface features, namely desktop UI and this stuff? Any questions from your side? It's clear. Okay, so.
Excuse me, probably one question from my side. Is it possible? Still?
Yeah, of course, please, go ahead.
It's help that it's impossible to uninstall a 7 plus driver. Is it really so?
Come again, please. It is written in the help that it is what?
It's impossible to uninstall a 7 plus driver. Is it correct?
Uninstall.
Uninstall.
Okay, if the help says so, okay. I did never try. Yeah? The S7 Plus is an option, additional installation option, but it installs also the net semantic net base libraries. Maybe that is the problem. It is not uninstallable with out, but that you need to do it with the control panel from Windows itself. Maybe to uninstall these additional components. I could think about that.
Unfortunately, I didn't succeed, and when I tried to install patch 2, yeah, the newest which was released, still failure and crash of Windows, and still working with a problem. Unfortunately.
Okay. We have a lot of good experience installing the patch 2, but if you want to do a trouble ticket, maybe there is some known fix to it.
Okay, thank you very much. I just thought probably you knew something about I'll create a trouble ticket.
Please, yes. Yeah. I had no problems when I did the setup, but well, this depends, of course.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure. Okay, so the first thing what I want to show is the new desktop user interface. Okay, the user interface is not new, it's our user interface. It's only the question how the client will get the runnables, the executables. You don't need to go there to the client and do an installation. This is now downloaded from the server. I will demonstrate. So, I am running here my project. And of course, what we need is this control manager, the web client HTTP script. What is basically not the web client, it is the web server component which is running on the server. And by the way, in 360 we will rename this control script. Web client is a stupid name. It is the web server. What you start here on the server side. And what is now happening when I use Firefox, and you know, Firefox is not supporting plugins any longer since version 53, and that is now some month ago. And when I now connect to my SCADA server, what is running this web server component, okay, localhost in my example, what you get is, you get the download page like for the web client in the old days, plugin what you download. You download now, regarding to your operating system, I have Windows here, and so on, would be available. You are downloading a minimum installation package. It's not big, you see, 53 megabytes, okay? And this minimum installation, desktop UI, is similar to the plugin. It contains all the Qt runnables and all this kind of stuff. I show you what is there after installation. I go to the C drive, Siemens folder, automation with the COA, and there's the desktop UI. And this is the installation. 350. It is, I think, 17 megabytes. That's minimum install for a client only. And here you have all the deletes and Qt stuff and so on. And this is new. UI.exe. That's it. Okay. What in addition is, after I installed, it will show up here the usual path. Siemens automation runtime systems Windows COE 350. Please ignore my console and the project administration. On an empty machine, you will now only see, okay, and this icon you use on the desktop or whatever. What is happening when I run this now? You will get this If some of you have already used our version from the App Store for Android or for iOS, then you know that is also what you get on a phone, yeah, or on a tablet. And it's just a helper screen, a cute designed helper thing. It's not yet connected to the server. Yeah, it is a local list of all projects what you have connected before. Yeah, it's just that you have an easy selection option. Okay, I want to connect to this project whatsoever. That is very handy on a tablet. Yeah, when you go from site to site and connect to this server or another server and so on. But we want to have the same look and feel on all platforms. Either it is Android, iOS, or it is Windows or Linux. We want to have the very same UI experience, okay? That's it. How you create a new project, okay, it would be the plus, yeah? And then you enter the server address. Yeah? Or I go here to modification, see, I enter my server name, that's it, encrypted or not encrypted, so port 80 or 443, that is my decision here, and that's it. So, what happens when I run, here we go. What happens when I run it? Then a user interface is started, and that's it. It connects to your server. But what was happening? In the background, the UI exit was called, but with the -server option, what you know from before. So this is the normal user interface, what is now starting. Okay, user interface, whatever. Yeah. Okay, I demonstrate later. Wait a minute. Yeah, you know that in the past, when you created a link to on a client what was using -server, then you can do this manually. Yeah, when you have installed the product to a remote client, then you create the desktop icon, like that, where you just use these options. And the important option here is, of course, the -style. Sorry, -server. Server A, server B, okay? And that was working in 3.12, 3.13, 3.14. Yeah, in 3.14 you could even give multiple redundant servers. Yeah, if you have multiple HTTP servers, sometimes you have this setup. Okay. But now in 350 the new method is -mobile. And -mobile is the same what the apps are doing, and that is of course exactly what you've seen before. Yeah, this start page. If you don't like the start page, so what is better now? You don't need to go to the client and install something. Yeah, this is downloaded automatically on first contact. So yeah, what permissions do you need? Of course, you need to be able to install something on that machine. This is the main user permissions what you need here. Nothing more. A project can also be started with a link on the desktop. Yeah, you can create, with right-click, a desktop shortcut. And why do you want to do that? Yeah, that you now can move to your auto start. In columns and rows, it will need to display all that thing exactly as you have specified. And that's why now I got 1, 2, 3, 4 columns, and not 3. Why is this? Because the text was smaller than the button. And this button now spans over 2 columns. Then there is a column for the space, and then there is another column for this button. Then we have some 5 rows or things like that. And that is what the grid layout can do. So you see, for easy dialogues or so on, maybe using the grid is even faster than using the other layout. But I have to admit, the grid was not designed to be used in a game. Yeah, the grid is far more powerful during runtime. Some side effects are here when you use the